It is 2021, and on this episode of the Junior Wakefield Show, three grumpy old men. I believe everyone has greatness in them. As a personal trainer, it's my goal to get people to push themselves and to see the greatness in them that I see. And some people have stories so great, so incredible, I felt the need to share them with the world. Join me as I sit down and talk with some of the people who define greatness in our generation. This is the Junior Wakefield Show. 2021, welcome to the Junior Wakefield Show. Glad you guys can be able to watch today. You know, 2020 is over. I am so glad it's over. I was sitting here talking with these gentlemen that I'm about to introduce. Well, you know the gentleman that I'm about to introduce. And, we're going to talk about 2021, what 2020 was about, and the future of what it's like being a dad, being bald, and having beards. I want you to welcome Anthony and Wade.
The three B's. That's what the three B's?
Yeah, the three B's. There you go. Cool. Welcome, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Good. Wade, Anthony, how you doing?
Yeah.
Good. How was 2020?
It had ups and downs.
Yeah, like all of us.
You had to find the good and the bad out of that one.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I would say.
Wade, how was your 2020?
I found mostly bad. Yeah.
You found mostly bad?
Good riddance.
Like Breaking Bad?
Wow. I wonder why he bought that that little mobile home sitting over there.
Everybody thought 2020 was going to be the vision year, and it's in my rearview mirror. So.
Oh man, 2020! I am so glad it's over. I'm telling you, it has been tough in so many different ways, and 2021, I'm expecting great things. Well, it doesn't have to be great; it just has to be better than 2020.
Bar.
One of the reasons I wanted to have you guys on is just to kind of talk about, all three of us are dads. All three of us are balding. And we talk about what it's like raising our kids in today's society, the way that we grew up. How do we keep our kids active? How do we keep our kids focused? Because it's completely different. Now, don't get me wrong. The things that our kids are doing today, there's no way in the world I could have done it. I couldn't have done any virtual learning. I couldn't have spent all my time on a dadgum cell phone. It just would have stunted a lot of things that I'd been doing and trying to do. So, but what's your guys' opinion?
I mean, there's things that, like you said, that we couldn't have done. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could stay on a video game console back in the '80s for forever, but is your kid gonna ride 5 miles on her bike to go see her friend in the next city?
No,
exactly.
Not at all.
How many times did you do that?
I did it quite a bit, but
I used to go from Fort Worth to Crowley on my bike.
But also the thing too that it's the video games back then was Miss Pac-Man or Galaga.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once you hit the '80s,
Anthony's
man,
10 years.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not in my 70s like y'all, man.
From the 70s.
From the 70s. Y'all had dentures before I stopped playing video games. So, I mean, you had Nintendo first came out. What was it? '84. 84 up in, I think it came
Sounds
out
right.
84 up in New York. So I mean, I had more games to play, and there was more than just Mrs. Pac-Man and stuff, dude. Not everyone just lived in arcades like you.
The difference for me was when I was a kid, video games was one of the things you did.
Yes,
that's the thing you did.
Was one of the things you did.
You did that for an hour and a half. You loved it, and then you're like, now let's go do this.
But we had more things we could do because it was just, honestly, it was just safer out there for us. You know what I mean? Like, I would run out into a field and stay in a field for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours.
Was it
hanging
safe?
out.
Has the field changed?
Well, I'm just saying, I felt safer for kids back then, just running around and stuff. Than I would. I'm not gonna let my daughter drive to or ride a bike to the next city. Are you gonna let your kids do that? Oh, you got boys. That's different.
Well, and it's also different too because Anthony was the reason why they made Children of the Corn. So because he's running around the field for 4 or 5 hours. Now, before we get off in all
I
of
could
this,
get real grumpy.
we can get real grumpy. Let's we want to introduce the voice of God. The voice of God, how are you?
Hey, I am good. Can y'all hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. We can see you now.
Hey, it's me. Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year to you. Now, before we get, we were doing mic check and we were talking about what we all did for New Year's and New Year's Eve. And some of us, And today's topic is grumpy old men because we worked and we do other things. But this right here from a gentleman who's on the edge of being a millennial, who knows all about video games, who knows all about partying and hanging out and so forth, because most of us are in bed usually around 10 o'clock on our days off. So, but this story, which is really unbelievable, the voice of God, what did you do for New Year's Eve?
Well, we had a half day at work on New Year's Eve, so I was out of here by 1 o'clock, and then I went back home, just relaxed, chilled, and then at like 7 o'clock I fell asleep, and then I woke up at I fell asleep like right
On the
after
seventh
I
hour,
ate.
he rested the voice of God.
and then at like 11:55 I woke up and I was like, oh my God, it's almost New Year's. And then my friend handed me just like we were eating snacks or stuff, so he handed me like a drink, and he was like, Happy New Year, and I said cool, and then I went back to sleep. And then I woke up the next day and was like, I think I missed it. I don't know what happened.
Wow.
So did you have the early bird special at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
So early bird special at 5 o'clock, warm glass of milk at about 6:30. Put on your nightcap and just stroll into
Settle down
bed,
for a
old
long
man.
winter's nap.
That's it. He went and had a nap. Andrew, how old are you again?
I am 24.
Yeah. And we were up later than Andrew. So
Yeah.
I think that's really that's funny. That's funny. And I wonder how many other 24-year-olds almost missed New Year's
Matter of
because
fact,
of taking a nap.
my 11-year-old was up later than Andrew.
So, hey, Andrew was, you know what? Let's give him credit because he had a hard time being the elf on our Christmas show.
Yeah, that was.
So-
I've been drained since I became the elf. It's been just weeks of just utter exhaustion.
There you go. Woo! Next year we'll try to get that show done, or this year we'll try to get that show done a lot earlier so that he can be able to stay up for New Year's. Now, Andrew, we're talking about 2021. How was 2020 for you?
I think like for everybody, it wasn't by far a great experience. I spent 5 or 6 months of my time here working from home, just working from like the dinner table. So it was, I would say, predominantly, at least the part that I will remember looking back, really boring, which I think also means it was like safe, but also like I just remember waking up and then walking to the other room, sitting down for 8 hours, getting up, walking to the garage to lift weights or something, and like I had the same routine, the same pattern for closer to 6 months.
Wow.
And so that is my memory of 2020, just like monotony and repetition and boredom. And I mean, that is, I think, what I will remember about this year for the rest of my life. Just all that.
Now, what's your expectations and what's your goals for 2021?
Man, this year I'd love to, with vaccine coming out and all that, I would love to be able to go out rock climbing again. I'd like to go out and get more physically active like I used to be before this year. I think everyone took a hit in that department, but I'd love to go back to training in martial arts, rock climbing, seeing people in person. Yeah. So I don't know. I think a lot of social interaction for me, that's going to be the big one. Like being able to go out and see people and not be worried like, oh, you wearing a mask or do you have COVID or something like that.
Now, when it comes to, we talk about social interacting. Wade, how is your kids dealing with staying at home, doing the virtual school, and then kind of transitioning to kind of moving around?
So my older son, Zaylen, is kind of got the
You don't have
loner.
to say his name because if he sees this and he's like, "Oh my goodness, my dad just called me out." And
If he
besides,
sees this,
Zaylen's
it means he's
saying-
not in class right now and he's in trouble.
Okay,
Very good
never
point,
mind,
sir.
Zaylen. Never mind.
He's got a loner bent to him as it is, and he's the most paranoid person I know about COVID right now. So it's just dovetailing perfectly for his inclination to just be alone, which is frustrating for me because he was starting to kind of come out of his shell recently and really get more involved. And he's in the band at school, got promoted up to the top band, and now he's spent a lot of time alone, which suits him fine. And my younger son is the social guy. So I think he's really struggling more with being home. But we've kept them home. They're not in class right now. And We have friends that talk to us about statistics this and statistics that, but that's the decision we made.
Now, how do your kids deal with the adjustment of being at home? Because you say you have one social, you have one who's more private.
Yeah.
So
I mean, with the video games, my younger son's online. He's all day long. He's screaming. I go in there and I've threatened him a million times to stop screaming, and it doesn't do any good. He's screaming at his friends the whole time. So, what's interesting, we all have an old friend, Rodrigo, or a young friend, I should say. And he told me that people of his generation, which is the Voice of God's generation, that counts as social interaction. Being online, playing video games, that's the same thing as having a friendship. So he seems to be okay with that, but he's struggling a bit. He's struggling a bit. He misses his friends.
Anthony, how does
Charlotte. Oh, that's messed up, man. That's messed up.
No, I started to say something. I was thinking about that.
You were there at her birth. Okay.
Yeah,
anyways,
that is true.
I mean, it's hit or miss. She's making the best of any situation she can. I mean, I kind of feel bad for her. You know, this was her first year of middle school, and that's really big for kids. I think really big for girls too, because girls are just cliquey naturally. You know, I mean, they like to be in their little groups, and even at lunch, they're not allowed to talk. You know, the online school, that was purely atrocious. You know her. She needs that schedule. She needs structure. I mean, if we could put her in a military school, she'd probably fly through it because everything's set. Okay. So, and as you know, set it for yourself. She's just like, oh, I'll get to it later. And then she found out, you know, that there was no such thing as late work. So she's like, I don't have to do it till I feel like it. Now that she's back in school, I mean, her grades are definitely doing a lot better. A's and B's. So that's great. We're happy with that. Orchestra. That's the one thing she was really looking forward to, and you know they can't do concerts. Yeah. So they did a virtual concert. I showed y'all when we played golf, and that was kind of cool. But that concert they did virtually, that was her class, some online, some not. Which they did a good job. They had the iPads turned for those that weren't there. I thought that was really cool, so they could be part of it. But that was supposed to be the one where everybody from 6th grade to senior in the entire Plano school district was supposed to be in one auditorium, and that's 1,000 kids or so playing orchestra instruments.
Were either of you in band?
No.
So I'll tell you, I was in band. I played saxophone, and one of the coolest feelings I had as a kid is when everybody's syncing just right, everybody's clicking just right, your hair will start to stand up on your arms. And no, I'm telling you, you weren't, well, I guess you shave them.
He doesn't have any.
But our band director pointed that out to us. He said, did everybody feel that? And we all looked around like, we know what he's talking about right now. And this whole Zoom thing, you don't get that.
And she is a social person. Yes. So it's you know her. I mean, when we take her out, she's jumping from golf cart to golf cart. She just wants to talk to everybody. She wants to hang out.
Just like you.
Just like
super social. Can't wait to get around and talk to everybody.
That's very true.
I think the toughest thing for myself and for our family was Landry was finishing up her last year. And that's what's tough. So when you take all the events and so forth away, such as, you know, we talk about, you know, girls in middle school and them finding friends, and, you know, when you have your friends and you know, when the kids are getting ready to graduate and you have all these social events and you have all this and that and so forth, once that's all gone, it's like missing it. It's just like, hey, you didn't have your high school prom, or you didn't go to your homecoming. And you think about, well, what was the reason? Some circumstances and others, you know, everybody has a story. But 2020 was one that's going to be tough because there's so many people who missed their homecoming, missed their prom, missed the graduation, and you'll never get all that back. And so you take away that social activity that each person had, because then it's like, hey, where are you going to college? Hey, I'm going to see you next year. Hey, before you leave, blah, 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 blah. And now you're not being able to spend time with them. You're not being able to hang out and all this stuff. So I think it was really tough. It is really tough now, because now it's like you have to start developing new friends, because, you know, the ones that you had in school, they're gone.
Yeah.
Everybody's moving. Everybody's trying to deal with certain things. Colleges aren't the same. You know, it's not everybody, hey, let's all go to college. Let's all do this and that and so forth, because that's where you really learned about life.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's kind of tough. And so, you know, that right there is one of the toughest things, you know, especially at this particular time in life, is right when you're getting ready to get catapulted out and, you know, to more independence. And so, you know, I hate 2020 did that, plus, you know, the many other circumstances that we had going on.
Well, I think you too. I mean, as a father with your only daughter, you never got the chance to threaten her prom date with violence.
No, most definitely. No, and that's true. Because I think, you know, the city of Plano has a, I never did see a butchering ordinance. So I really would like to butcher something in the garage, you know, while the guy.
See, you were thinking it through. You wanted that father moment that you never got.
We always wondered. We're sitting in his garage.
Everybody
we're,
got
we're,
robbed.
we're playing cards, and there's all this plastic wrap around. We're like, what's up with all the plastic wrap?
Yeah, some of the plastic.
We're like,
you know,
I open up this little chest that I thought was tools. I'm like, dude, look at all these knives. Why are we using these dull knives cooking? What's all this for? He's like, those are special.
That's it. Those are special.
Don't touch those knives.
Those are
definitely
things,
better get your fingerprints on those knives.
Yeah, there you go.
And then walk away.
Yeah, you know, it's we sit and we talk about, you know, the social distance. We talk about the kids. How has it affected you guys? How was the pandemic? How was the social distancing? How has everything affected you guys?
Man, I was actually very, very lucky with that, you know, because I get to go home to a beautiful woman every night. So I was locked in a room with her, except for when she was in Europe, which is kind of cool.
And except for the time she was trying to escape.
She wasn't trying to escape. She was in Europe. She was trying to get back. Although if she could have stayed in Europe longer, she probably would have. But it was locked down, so she couldn't do anything there anyways. But, you know, our main social interaction that's not, I mean, because, you know, when you're an adult, your social interaction is basically work for the most part. So we definitely didn't have that.
Yep.
So I will say, you know, missing the monthly barbecues and stuff, which was when we all got together and just crack a lack. That was, I can't wait for that to come back. But, you know, I was lucky. I had a good group of core friends. I'm not going to say any names. Some of them had, I think one of them had hair, maybe two. Three. I think three had hair. Three had hair. Three were bald. But I mean, we still got together because golf courses were open. So
that is true.
We still got to hang out, and the golf courses got a lot nicer because that's the only thing there was to do. We still had that social interaction going for us. But you know, it was just like that was once a week.
Yeah.
That was once a week. Couldn't get out and just lay off the steam. Plus, you have all the stress of being a homeschool teacher and everything else. So that one adult time was kind of.
Now, the voice of God, Andrew. How did this 2020 and how did this pandemic and how did everything affect you? And what's your goals and expectations for 2021?
I actually feel like I got kind of lucky because when during the heat of everything, there were like 6 people in my house. So even though it was like a social distancing and everything, I was still seeing 5 other people every single day. So I feel like I was able to mentally walk away from it better than others because I still had different interactions with different people and different groups within those 5 people basically whenever I wanted to. I feel like I got to know my family a lot better, and moving forward to 2021, I don't want to lose that because I feel like I'm 24. Barring the pandemic, I would not have been living at home. I would not have seen my younger siblings. So I feel like I'm lucky that I got to know them as people and not just my younger brother, my younger sisters. So I'd like to continue that and not lose sort of what I had going for a year there because that was nice and I liked it.
Okay, Wade.
Yeah, at the end of what he was saying there, actually it was when we first locked down. That was the first time that I ever got to make dinner 7 days a week and sit down. We'd have movie night and game night like every night, and we loved that. But one of my big goals for 2020 is I had been working on some book projects and kind of spending my days there and nights working. So I kind of had cut myself off from the world a bit, and I realized I wanted to get back out in the world. Mm-hmm. I had made a firm decision that I was going to put myself back out there, and then boom, it evaporated immediately. So that is my goal for this New Year's, to get back out there. 2 of my best friends I haven't seen in a year. And they live up the street.
Sitting right here, Anthony.
Anthony. I don't know if Henry's our friend anymore. He can't even tell us apart. We're sitting right here, Anthony.
They all look alike.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because I was going to say Anthony moved back.
Oh, okay.
But, no, that was it. That was it.
When are you
We're
running
right here. I wanted to make sure you saw both of us because I don't want you to.
When are you running for president with your backpedaling? I was just telling you to scoot back.
No,
man.
because because if he turned this way, if he's back where he was, I look like his shadow. So
Junior Wakefield 2024, y'all. Just remember that.
And so you had your best friends and
Two of my best friends, I haven't seen them in a year, and it's except for when I did a drive-by happy birthday for a wife. But
whoa, what type of drive-by are you doing?
It's a different kind of drive-by in 2020. That's
Okay, that's very true.
Okay, cool. Okay.
2020
You shoot confetti instead of other
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. Well, 2020 was really tough, and especially with the pandemic and everything shut down. I think one of the toughest parts for myself, not just for myself, but also for our family, was that's when Zachary had to do his stem cell transplant, and we had to drop him off at the hospital because nobody knew, how this was going to work, how all this stuff was going to come out. But we had to drop him off at the hospital, and we watched him go through the front door, and for about 2 months he was in there by himself, and we couldn't see him, and we had to wait for him to call, and we didn't know how he was feeling, and we've already gone over a year and 9 months being with him, during each episode of his chemotherapy and so forth. So that was really tough. That was kind of one of those that you'll never forget. But it's like, it kind of when it talked about social distancing and different things like that, it cut our family off. Because it's like, well, we can't go up here or we can't do this. And then sometimes, I would just drive and sit in the parking lot just to kind of say, you want to have that connection, you want to be close to him. But it was tough. And this year 2021, it's still a battle that we're enduring and going through. But Zachary's spirits is up, and so the biggest thing is just for him to get over the cancer and just to keep battling, because we're passing 2 years, and we want this stuff to end. So 2021, I'm expecting some good things. We're taking it one day at a time. I can't predict the future, but it has to be better than 2020. So now we talk about that. Now, as we talk about discipline, and we'll jump on the discipline and so forth, especially as dads. Who's the disciplinarian in the family? Anthony?
No, it's a group effort in my house. It takes a whole group to discipline Charlotte. I mean,
We borrow a few neighbors.
it's like it's not working. Henry, come over here.
Takes a village.
Everybody.
We go back and forth on it. I mean, you remember you had an 11-year-old girl before.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's trying, and so we kind of between me, Shay, her mom, and Josh and everybody, we all communicate and try to figure out the best way to guide her in the right way. Because that's what discipline is. I mean, she'll tell us that we're just being mean and we don't know anything. But I mean, discipline, when you think about it, because I always try to, I try to find the good in everything. Even in 2020, I try to find some good. But I mean, discipline, really, what it is, it's not beating somebody down. I mean, sometimes you have to, but it's just guiding them in the right way so they don't make that same mistake again. But when you're 11, you still know a lot, so that mistake is you're gonna tell the parents because you're wrong.
Now, voice of God, Andrew, how was discipline in your household?
So I know my siblings got punished a lot more than I did because I was really, really quiet as a kid. So I never said anything unless I was spoken to, and also I stayed in my room all day. Oh. So I was actually punished very little as a kid because I didn't do enough things as a human to get in trouble.
Are you the oldest?
I am, yeah.
So let me get this straight. As the oldest brother, or your job is to screw up so they can learn how to get away with the same screw-ups you did.
100%.
And you did not screw up once. You let your little brothers and sisters down.
I know they had to fend for themselves.
I mean, I watched my brother, and I was like, okay, this is what he did, and this is how he didn't get away with it. This is how I'm getting away with it.
That's funny. So who was the disciplinarian in your family, Andrew? Was it your mom or your dad?
So my dad was always more firm with things, but his thing was he'd always sit you down and talk out what happened, to be like, all right, so here's why this was wrong, here's that, there's that. My mom was actually the one who was a lot more in traditional with punishment and stuff. She'd be like, go to your room, or she'd spank us or something like that. But my dad was always trying to get you psychologically, which was weird as a kid.
Wow.
It's interesting to hear that because that is exactly what I try to do. I try to get weird psychologically.
And so
we're even. We're 50-50. I'm always trying to give them the insight of the parent perspective, hoping I can appeal to an intellect or a psychology. But I definitely raise my voice and try to puff myself up and put a little fear into them as well. And Erica does the same thing. You know, she says I lecture too long. Supposedly you're supposed to your lecture's supposed to be short, otherwise after a while they don't listen anymore. But I ignore that. I lecture a lot. But Erica raises her, and Erica's got a loud voice.
So to puff your chest up, do you listen to jazz music and let your hair stand on ends and the chest hair just goes?
Never tried that.
I was just thinking you were talking about the band and everything, and I just noticed.
Well,
I just noticed your hair could stick
That's
up your
kinda
chest
funny.
would be all puffed.
Well, I think when it comes to discipline, I'm old-fashioned. I'd rather just beat their butt, get it over with,
Yeah.
and then afterwards, and then
Yeah.
just continue to keep moving.
When he said it's not about that, I was like, obviously he's not a black parent.
Yeah,
No, I
boy,
mean, no, look.
you're right about that. There is a difference. Well, let me say this: if you guys don't know, my wife Tracy is white. Duh. Okay. Anyway, so there is a difference. There is a difference because the timeouts, the go to your room and stuff like that. You know, that is traditional. White family. Yeah, that's it. I was trying to find a different word, but that didn't work. So, but what I'm used to, the timeout that I have is from the time that this hand hits their butt and I come back for the second, that's the time out. That's the time out. That's the time. So, and you beat in syllables, and there's some words that don't have syllables. Like, didn't I tell you not to do that? Don't let me do this again.
I feel like a bowl of greens right now.
And then you, yeah, there you go. And then you just come back, and then it's over. And then afterwards, as they start walking slowly to do their chores and stuff, you know, hey, I love you. You know, this is gonna hurt me more. That's a lie. That's a lie. It didn't. You know, you got it out because whatever frustration stuff you went through, I mean, you got it out.
You got to watch.
That's
Beating
what it
them.
is.
You got to watch beating them in 2020 though, because you never know what's going. This is
No,
why.
if-
Because you could be sitting there and you're like trying to get the laptop away because they're not listening, because you said you can't go to that social online if you don't got your homework done. They're putting up a fight. You get the laptop away, they kick you, and then you turn them around and you start beating them, and you're like, stop doing that, because I tried to channel you. My hand even gets bigger. Stop doing that when I say
didn't work.
no. And then next thing you know, Shay comes in the room. She goes, dude, that Zoom call was live. And you're like,
That's when he got busted. So that's that. Now you know about Anthony. Yeah, it's when it comes to this one, there is no. There is no. Well, let me. Nope. You just get it done, get it over with, and then you move on about that. So that's about it. You know, guys. Before we finish the show and jump on to the next one, look into the camera, Wade. We're going to start with you, Wade. Give something positive about your family, something positive, give a shout out, and then something that's going to be positive for 2021 for you. And I know that you're going to be coming back on the show to talk about your book, so we have that later on in the year. You just got to finish it.
Well, we didn't get to spend the holidays with our extended family like we normally wanted to. I missed a family wedding. I was going to finally take my family up to Iowa. So this year, if we can move beyond this, we're all going to gather and do that. And then we're going to go out to a paintball field and shoot each other as a big group.
oh, that'd be
It's
fun.
going to be a lot of
So,
fun.
in other words, you're going to get ganged up on by your kids and your wife.
I'm hoping to do the ganging up on, but
Okay.
see how that
For the
pans
for the
out.
right price.
They're
you-
really good at Nerf, I will say
for,
that.
for the right price, you could hire 2 snipers. Just saying. We could put on some ghillie suits. We could hide in the back. Your family comes out and
Oh, like two guys up in the grassy knoll that nobody actually knows about,
Yeah.
taking out my kids, and I can claim credit.
You can say it's magic
I
paintball.
really like that idea.
Well, Anthony, go ahead. Give them something positive. Shout out.
Positive for their families and stuff. For Charlotte, and just get her into group sports. You know, get her
Yeah.
into group things when all this is over, so she can have that you need as a kid. For me and Shay, I mean, don't get me wrong, Nashville was great, but we went on a vacation to a whole new place, and we only got to experience this much. And you know, that's the one thing we look forward to is getting out there and experiencing a new part of the country. So I really look forward to getting out to, we haven't decided yet where we're going to go, but getting out there and experiencing a different part, because I think a lot of people just don't do that.
That's true.
You got to see this country. It's a beautiful place.
Now, in 2021 or 2022, when do you guys get married?
Well, you always got to bring that up, man.
Well, you started shaking your head before I even got to it. So
I
you
already know where you're going.
You knew it was coming.
You use the same. You have the same lines every time.
Well, no, that was in 2020, and I understand 2020.
You can be
but
locked in a
2021
room with this woman, but
You
you
can be
can't
locked in a room,
get
but
a
you can't
ball and
propose?
chain with this woman.
Oh my God.
Yeah, get it. Yes.
Do it on camera
There we
right
go.
now.
It's on camera
Facebook
now.
Live.
Yeah, do it on Facebook Live. Do it on camera.
Ahmad
Andrew,
Rashad
what do
did
you
it.
have?
Who?
Ahmad Rashad.
Who is that?
Did you throw that one to me, Junior?
Yep, I threw it to you. You saw all this craziness.
Yeah. So it was positive things. Yeah, for me, I really want to. So my brother's supposed to graduate high school this year. He's a senior, doing school digitally. So I'd really like to, help him sort of power through the end of the year, graduate, and then I have no idea what his college experience that freshman year is going to look like. But hopefully, we can, my family can, get together and help him push through his end of high school and the beginning of college without any major speed bumps. And so that's probably the big thing that we're going to do this year, try to find some sense of normalcy amid all of this with him. So.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, my thing for 2021 is, for one, everybody knows, I want Zachary's cancer to get out. I want it to go somewhere else. I want it to stop. It has been a beatdown. It has been emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually draining, and I want that cancer gone. I want to get my son back. He is fighting. He is a true champion. Incredible. I want my dad to be healthy as possible. I enjoy the family range. I want to have the cookouts again. I want the families and friends, these guys, to get back together.
Here.
To spend more time together. That's what we did for so many years. 2020 kind of hurt that one. Get back out on the golf course, have fun, spend more time with the family, spend more time. And I mean family, and I mean my family, and also the people because I don't have friends, I call everybody family. I call them brothers and sisters. So when I'm talking about these guys, I'm talking about with Andrew. I'd love for Andrew to come over to the house and hang out and see some stuff. I'm the only
He's
one.
just gonna go to sleep.
Andrew's just gonna go to sleep.
Start it early.
We need that couch.
We got to
space.
do.
We have the couch.
With
we have
Andrew,
the couch
we
in the
got to
front
have
room.
instead of a family dinner, we got to have a family breakfast.
We have a family breakfast.
As long as you got a big comfy couch, I am in.
Yeah,
as long as you don't want to use that couch while I'm there,
yeah.
we are all good.
People his age, they wake up early.
Yeah,
Crack it on.
there you go. So 2021, we want a lot of new things, and I want a lot more people to be happier. I want a lot more people to be healthier. I want people to hopefully, with this pandemic and so forth, people are taking the opportunity to take care of themselves. So those are things I look for. Of course, we all want to win the lottery. We haven't won yet, so that we can all get
Who
out
says?
That's today.
I won
today?
$3.
You won $3. I haven't won anything yet. So anyway, well, thank you guys for watching Junior Wakefield Show. It was pretty awesome to have the grumpy old men here. We have a blast. We cook together. We play golf together. We work together. We have fun. And it was nice to have Andrew on here. We're going to have these guys back here in a couple of weeks. We can do it all again. Thank you guys for watching. 2021, we're ready for you. Thank you. I'm Junior Wakefield, along with my special friends,
Anthony.
And Wade.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here. All right, we'll see you guys next time. And the voice of God.